Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here one more time for String Tech. We have a precision base here that needs a bunch of different things, but we are going to start with an edge dress. Now what I've got along the edge of the fingerboard here is Scotch tape, much thinner than masking tape. So I'm just going to breeze along the edge of that fingerboard and get rid of those sharp edges, and this is the time of year to do it. End of the heating season. Yeah, so that Scotch tape allows you to get in a lot closer than regular masking tape does. This needs a lot more than just an edge dress. I'll explain it as we go here. You see that is actually a maple cap, that fingerboard. And the nice thing about the Scotch tape is it allowed me to get in close enough without actually scoring through the finish and into the wood. Now we will mask off the entire fingerboard because we've got a lot of leveling and spot dressing to do. Not too sure how well the camera's picking this up, but this headstock has a little bit of a tilt to the treble side. It doesn't necessarily mean the neck is twisted, but there's a lot of rocking and rolling going on along the length of this fingerboard. And we're going to start by just touching it up first. When you're adjusting the truss rod on a bass guitar, especially when you get a flexible, slender neck like this one, you don't want to tighten the truss rod under string load. So I loosened the strings right off completely, then I put the load on the truss rod and got this neck as straight as I possibly could. On another note, incidentally, the same thing applies to 12-string guitars. You got 220 pounds of tension. You don't want to be adjusting the truss rod against that tension. You don't necessarily have to remove the strings, but wind them down about 3 or 4 full turns each string, and then adjust your truss rod, and then tune it back up and see what you got. So in the case of this bass, it was really swooping up. So we backed off those strings, I've loaded the truss rod, and I've got this neck as straight as possible. Now the other thing, with you guys that have the GPS units, if you're working on a lot of basses, it's worth buying an extra long block. Instead of a long and a short block, this neck assembly now has 2 of the longer blocks, and that supports this very flexible neck along its length. I have a buddy of mine in South Carolina, Frank Rodeo, that knew right away when he ordered his GPS unit to order that extra block because he works mostly on basses. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but he definitely makes use of those double long blocks. Now I do like to start at the top end. Yeah, I can feel that grabbing already. There are definitely high spots that need to be addressed. So I'm cross-hatching as I go over that radius. But I will get those various lengths of straight edges out and kind of check this as we go. I do like to start at the top end and then make my way back the fingerboard to the first position. There's a lot less resistance here. Again, making sure I keep the file in line with the string path and moving obliquely over the crown. And then cross-hatching, coming back the other way. Just make sure you don't tilt the file. Just about there. Good. Liking what I see. So 24-inch. And checking that again with the full length. A little bit more off this top end. This bass has moved around considerably since when I first set it up when it was brand new a few years ago. Dave has a whole collection of basses. I've been working on this stuff for 30 years. Yeah, that's looking good. So we have a little bit of relief in there. Lots of load on that truss rod that we can back off if we need to. But we're going to be depending on the strings actually to pull this up. I'm using the 320 grit to kind of take out the tooling marks of the file. These are the scrub blocks that I send out in the fretting kits with the 6 straight edges and 5 sanding blocks. 400 grit. Second piece of 400 grit. So the scrub block backs up the paper with wood and leather and allows this cloth back sandpaper to kind of flex and slur over the crown as you scrub it back to center. This is our 600 grit. Piece of 600 grit. This is our emery cloth. Ultrafine steel wool. So as you can see, it is quite a bit more work to do a maple fingerboard as opposed to rosewood. The frets are completely encased in masking tape. When I load up that wheel with a compound, I don't have to worry about blackening the beautiful white maple because we have encased the frets 100% in masking tape. Time to buff. I'm cleaning off the majority of the compound before I pull the masking tape off. This is just McGuire's ultrafine polish. pick that up a Canadian Tire. Let's see what we've got here. So last little touch with emery claw on those outside edges. Well, I guess this is probably one of those examples where it's like the best proof ever of Fender buying Gretsch. We got a Filtertron pickup in this bass. This is the moment of truth. We're going to tune this up and see how this neck reacts now. That is where the action ended up. It's a decent amount of relief for a bass. And this is where we ended up on the treble side. You can see at the top end, I had to take quite a bit off those frets to get this to kind of level out along the string path. She's fine now, playing just fine. And the fret dress is done. Leveled, recrowned, and polished. It's interesting to see a branded, Fender branded version of the Badass Bridge. And this is one more instrument ready to go back to the customer.